Good morning, you guys. I know I have you up a little bit high, but that's just how it's gonna have to be. As of right now, good morning. It is what? 10:02 on a good Thursday. I got my coffee, my black coffee. No, it's not from Dunkin'. Yeah, it's not for Dunkin'. But good morning. It's another gloomy day here in Atlanta. It's that cuddle weather. But I'm in my mobile office and I'm on my way. It's hot. Jeez Louise. I'm on my way to see my students. So again, welcome to Motivation with Muscles with Mayya. Ding. Yeah, I am your host, and if it's not one thing, it's another. I tell you, I don't know of the 10 of you, soon to be more. If you remember when I did that story time about Thanksgiving and the plus one, well, there's more drama. So, the plus one is my daughter's boyfriend. And just to protect people and to keep, certain people who did not agree to me telling this story time, because of that, I'm not going to be mentioning people's names. Like, plus one will always be plus one. Okay, we will not be using his government. But anyway, I know we're pretty sophisticated, so I don't have to worry about any drama on this page. But anywho, so a couple days ago, my youngest daughter, peeks her head into my room and said, "Mom, can I talk to you?" Okay, fine. I go into her room and she says, "I know I need to talk to you, but I know you're not going to really care. But I need to talk to you." And I said, whoa. First of all, whatever comes out of your mouth, I care. Let's be clear, okay? So she proceeds to tell me, I don't have any power aid. How plus one, her boyfriend, went to a funeral. Well, let me back up. I guess it was last year he went to California to visit some friends. I think he has family out there as well. And one of his good friends was shot and murdered in front of him. Okay, so that was traumatizing, to say the least, I am sure. And recently, the young man who was murdered, his mother was murdered, and the people who murdered her tried to cover it up and make it look like a suicide. So I'm assuming in the last week or so, plus one went to California to pay the respects to the mom because he was close to the mom. And plus he had to speak at the funeral, I was told. I don't know. But hold that thought too. He had to speak at this funeral. So anyway, so apparently at the gravesite, I think that's what was told to me. I will come back and correct it if I'm wrong. But apparently at the gravesite, plus one passed out. He passed out and the ambulance had to be called. Now, plus one already has congenital heart failure. He has issues with his heart. And that's a serious diagnosis. I know people who live with heart issues. And I do know people who have passed away from heart issues. So whichever end of the spectrum you are on, it's a serious condition. But from the little bit that I know, it's, you can live, right? So he has the heart condition, went to the funeral, he passed out. They called the ambulance. The ambulance got him, took him to the hospital and put him in a medically induced coma. That's the story that was told to me. So immediately I'm like, oh my goodness, we need to pray. And my daughter is hysterical. She is crying. And she told me she was holding on to this information since the 29th of January. And this was the 1st of February, right? So, of course, I want to console my daughter, because that's pretty messed up to have to be 21 years old in a relationship and having to deal with someone that you love and care about, and you can't be there for them because they're literally across the country. She can't be there, right? And then COVID, right? So I'm not going to lie. Immediately when she was telling me this story about +1, I said, this story sounds a little far-fetched. But I'm also thinking, who am I to judge? And who am I to judge if this story is real or not? So instead of sharing that with my daughter, I said, let's just pray. I let her explain the situation. I allowed her to tell me how she was feeling, and she was just hysterically crying. And she said she was in contact with his sister. I think his sister has his phone and has been periodically communicating. But for the past 2 days, I've been asking, what's an update? What's going on? And she doesn't know anything, right? So we pray, and I'm consoling my daughter, because that's my kid, right? And again, every day since that day, I've been, checking in, anything you need, what's going on. And the information that she's getting from the sister is really spotty. Like, the parents don't know that he's in this coma. It's weird. It's weird, okay? And one thing I try to explain to both of my kids, I have a 21-year-old and I have a 27-year-old. I didn't get to be the age I am by being no fool. So you might just want to listen just to a little bit of what I got to say, especially when it comes to these old boyfriends, because guess what? I've had a few boyfriends. The game doesn't change. Okay. So I had already had my, suspicions about this young man even before Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving sealed the nail in the coffin for me. Like, I'm just going to ride this relationship out. And when God is ready to move him out of her life, he will. It's not for me to kind of dibble and dabble, but I do make sure that my child is safe, because she's still my child, although she's an adult, right? And certain things she needs to learn on her own, right? But I think I watch way too much true crime, First 48 in Lifetime, and I can just foresee this relationship getting violent. That's just me. Maybe I'm overreacting, but it is what it is. So anyway, this morning, get home from the gym, shout out to me. I weighed in this morning, wasn't supposed to. I just kind of wanted to see where I was, and I'm 151.8. So anyway, back to business. So that when I get home, I'm standing in my my bathroom about to take a shower, and my oldest daughter texts me and says, "Call me," with the exclamation points. And I'm like, oh goodness, what is going on? So I call her, and she does not believe the story about +1. She doesn't even think that +1 is in California visiting. Now, supposedly, +1 is in the reserve, the Navy Reserve. But see, my daughter, my oldest one, got out of the Navy 2 years ago now, but she works for the Navy. She does the Navy payroll now. And so, apparently, my oldest daughter got my youngest daughter on the phone, and they called the sister to kind of find out what's going on. Because I'm going to tell you, from the beginning, my oldest daughter did not believe. She did not believe the story. Okay? So, I think they got a hold of +1's sister that sounded like a little boy. I don't know. I wasn't on the phone. But apparently, what my oldest daughter told my youngest daughter to say was, my mother is paying for me to go out to California to see +1, make sure he's okay. Which hospital? So, and this is all via, I think, text, I believe. And the response was that Why did she want to know that their grandmother doesn't think it's a good idea to share which hospital he's in because it's a liability? You heard what I said. You heard what I said. It's the grandmother said that the grandmother apparently is out there, but the parents don't know. Because the parents don't like +1 out there in California. For what? I don't know. So when I'm hearing this from my oldest daughter, I'm like, what? And that they, +1's family or siblings, wants to call me to let me know that my daughter is trying to go out to California. It's such a messy situation. And my oldest daughter is moving down here. I think I mentioned that to you guys. She'll be here in March. And she is a firecracker. She is what I used to be when I was younger, to be honest. So what I'm gonna have to do, because it's looking real reckless, as I explain this story, it may not seem like much, like, oh, it's just kids. These are not kids. These are young adults playing games. And my youngest daughter, is already a very sensitive one for the most part. Like, she's been through a lot, and she doesn't need this. And why are people lying and creating skits and plays to get a rise out of people? So I'm going to have a whole conversation with my youngest daughter today, because to me, see, my oldest daughter wants to kind of she wants me to drive by +1's house just to prove that he's there. And I would love to thug that out and do that, But really, in my mind, how I think my youngest daughter should handle it, and at the end of the day, it's up to her. It's just block them. It's over. Like, at the least, why can't she know, the girlfriend, know the name of the hospital? Why? So remember when I was saying he went to California to a funeral to speak at the funeral? Now, I don't know if my youngest daughter knows this or not. It's not like she's always going to funerals and is well versed in this area. But there is normally about, 15 minutes? I don't know. I just know during some funerals, they give people, a minute and a half or so to speak on behalf of their loved one who has passed. So that means anybody can be a speaker. You're not that special, sir. You're not that special. And how I know that my daughter thinks it's something big, because she was like, yeah, her son, who passed away too, he had to speak at his funeral too. I'm looking at her like, Lord, there go that ladybug. This ladybug, there's also one in my mirror, in my bathroom. Ladybug. So I too can be a hothead, but I'm not interested, and I'm tired. Okay, COVID brain, post-COVID. I'm not interested. But what I am gonna do, because I need to keep my daughter safe, is contact her dad and let him know what's going on. Let him know what's going on, because so. What is the good out of this? What's the good? Well, if you are angry enough, you could find no good in this situation. But there is a lot of good in this situation, meaning that this is an opportunity for my daughter to really understand the importance of vetting people. That's men and women. Because just because people like you, that doesn't mean that they have the right to be in your space. And understand this, you have a whole entire family who loves you. You don't need any extra fans, especially with no motives to add value to your life, if that makes any sense. So, I won't get home until probably 3 o'clock this afternoon. I have to get an oil change. I really want to have this conversation with my daughter. And this is my thing. How dare anybody fake a death or fake, because this is the words that my daughter was being told. He's in a medically induced coma and he may not make it. That's what was said. How dare you? How dare you? If this is fake, how dare you? And that's why I wanted to pray. I wanted to pray because I honestly have no proof that this is a fake story, right? But I do understand the person plus one that we're dealing with. And if he can lie to me to say that he was issued a gun from the military, that's the reason why he bought the gun on our vacation. And what he doesn't, he knows this, but he doesn't realize it, that my oldest daughter still works for the Navy and pulled up all his information, all of it. He is not even in the military. He's been discharged. So obviously my youngest daughter is not in tune with her man. So I'll give y'all an update of how this goes down. But I just pray, like I told my oldest daughter, they don't need to call me. Please just don't call me. And so again, back to the positive. What are the positive outcomes of this? Because I always like to take the good, the bad, and find, the positives in a situation. This will make me and my daughter, my youngest daughter, even closer. We're already close, all three of us as girls. We're close as a family, but just me and my oldest and my youngest, we're pretty close. And I guess because I had them so young, they watched me grow. But I mean, crazy. And my youngest daughter is going to learn, you can't always believe everything that come out of people's mouth. You have to allow people to show and prove themselves. And unfortunately, this is a situation where we don't need to understand why. Why did this happen? Why did you do this? No. We just need to let things go, Yeah, goodbye, plus one. And it's just really sad. It's really, really, really sad. But this is an event that's going to learn my daughter. It's going to learn her. And that's okay. Life is your best teacher. So that's all. I'm going to finish driving. If there's an update, I will... oh, that is a cute truck. If there's an update, I will definitely let you know. But I'm going to end it right here. Because I have got to call her father, whom me and my husband are very close with. Very close. So, yeah. And this could easily turn violent because we're dealing with somebody who has mental illness. Not mental illness, mental issues. Mental issues. He can't tell the truth to save his life, this young man, plus one. But see, he doesn't know, because he doesn't get along with his own family, that my daughter, she has a family who rides and dies for her. And he knows that. So, can I get in front of you? Yeah, so I am going to sign off for now. I love you guys. Be safe. And as soon as I hear something or there's an update to this story, I will definitely let you guys know. I appreciate you for liking and subscribing to my channel. Good grief. Went to the gym this morning, worked it out. Tomorrow is Friday, and we've already been warned at the gym on the team that it's not going to be a good day. It's going to be a rough day. It's going to be a rough day. And you know what? I'm for it. And my trainer is so funny. He's like, it's going to be a rough day, but guess what? You're going to recover, but it's going to take you about 3 days to recover. Well, shout out to you. Because I am starting to see major definitions in my legs. And I don't know what the back of my legs look like, because like where my glutes end and my hamstrings begin, that's my trouble area. But yeah. He's liking what he sees. And again, we are pushing for April, which will be here before you know it. So anyway, I'm going to go. Have a blessed one. Thank you for stopping by and listening to my story time. I love you guys. Have a good one.